Biggest challenge I was facing was getting a steady stream of prospects to the front door. So I had a lot of great content. I was writing a blog. I had a number of clients that were already paying me to do good work, but I did not feel like I had a good pipeline. And so that's the thing that brought me into their world. I reached a moment of extreme frustration where I felt like I had said to the two women who work part time on my team over and over again, God, if I could just get enough people to the front door. And finally, I decided to move from talking about it to taking action. And I emailed an executive assistant who I knew had worked with several fairly prominent names in the internet marketing space. And I said to her, I'd either like to hire you or I'd like you to help me find somebody that I can hire to help me with this front end. And she sent me directly to them. I think the strongest thing was her recommendation. When she told me some of the people that they had worked with early on, that was really good proof points on their quality and caliber and experience level. And then I watched all their videos. I did the webinar, I watched all the videos, and I was giggling by the time I finally decided to invest. I was about 60 days into knowing who they were, and they said that was about how long it took a lot of people. And I thought, how interesting that I'm very typical and didn't even realize it. That, it took a while. Candidly, I teased them about this. When I first started watching their work, I thought it was very, maybe male oriented, wasn't sure there was going to be a good personality fit between my market, or were they really going to understand who I was trying to speak with? There was a lot of bro and dude going on the phone. And I was teasing them about that it took me a little bit to get past that. And I'm so glad I did, because now I kind of love it. It's a really fun, casual environment that they've built, and it certainly does not impede them from being able to translate their knowledge to other markets.
When you made that decision to work with, were you relieved? Were you like, oh my gosh?
I would say, this is going to sound like an overstatement, but it's the truth. I was like euphoric. I mean, on the day that I finally had a conversation with Taylor, listened to what the program was, his confidence that telegraphed through the phone of like what was possible for my business, I made that decision with such an open heart and such an open mind. I mean, I was in a position to afford it. It wasn't like I was going to be, harming myself financially to make the investment. But it was enough money that I didn't want to lose it. Right. And so I knew that would anchor me into taking action. And I was going to borrow his confidence until I felt my own. So I really left that conversation high, like really excited.
So how has this experience changed your business or changed the way you feel about it? Is there anything tangible, like an increased income, greater leads, or is there anything intangible, like how you feel about it?
I mean, both, right? So I had a really good first 8 weeks. I don't know, I'm close to 8 weeks now. I view it as like that first month was the transformational period. First was mindset, just raising my expectations of myself of what was possible. I tend to play big, but I had been playing too small. And so just raising the bar on what I was going to expect of myself very early on anchored me into a different set of behaviors. Very specifically, the outreach email that they helped me develop using like a template and then adapting it to my audience for organic outreach. I have not done $1 of paid advertising yet. It's been all organic. And my revenue came between 3 and 4 times what an average month had been in that first month. So, I was saying to my husband, like, it's like I did a quarter's worth of business, almost 4 months worth of business in that 1 month. And that's game changing, right? When you look at if that's repeatable over and over again, that's life changing. So I was delighted by that. And again, that was all organic. That was leveraging a more compelling and clear offer and then knowing how to deliver on it. So that was a big deal. And then I think the mindset piece of just believing that that's what has to be possible for me to be financially satisfied with this business. That's the level I want to be operating at. So I feel like, maybe I walk a little taller and feel a little more confident in just my everyday life because of that. And that's really just a great feeling.
Do you think there's been one key thing or one strategy that has really helped you in this process?
So what I feel like I resisted for a really long time was getting very specific about the transformation that I could make for someone. I knew that it was important to be like niched in to this is the target and this is what I can do for her, but I kept wanting to keep it very broad. And by keeping it very broad, like no one knows, hold on 1 second, sorry. No one knows what they're buying, right? And so in this particular environment, I was able to get very dialed in on a critical question that became the title of the email that I was able to ask people that I think got a lot of opens to the email, made a very compelling offer that really was about a call with me, but they kind of knew where it was headed. And then in that call, using the script that just took them down a path of what is the specific transformation, really was a game changer. So I think I had something like 31 strategy calls in that first month from the organic email, and 7 or 8 of them became clients.
Now, was there one thing in particular that you've seen as very challenging during this process? What would you say has been your biggest struggle?
Keeping multiple balls in the air. So, the blessing and the curse of having gotten a lot of traction with that organic email is that I was not in a position, I had to go build the program, right? I had 7 people putting money into my hand and they were ready to start the program. And so because I had been delivering it one-on-one, I didn't have videos. I didn't have download files. It wasn't ready. And so I had to sort of take a left turn and go build that. And that pulled me away from continuing down the path of, getting a webinar built and getting the paid advertising funnel. So I would say I fell a little behind, willingly and intentionally, but I fell a little off pace in terms of compressing the program into 8 weeks. And I'm playing a little bit of catch up to get to the end. The other thing that's challenging, and Taylor's, and I think it's Taylor who says this very early on, is like everything in the world will conspire to get in your way and distract you as soon as you commit to this. And I think that really is almost like a law of attraction thing in reverse, that, you make this big, bold declaration that you're going to focus on this. And lots of things happened in our personal life, not the least of which was that we made a decision to buy a new home. And so during this 8-week period, we also closed on a house, put our house in the market, and are in the middle of the move. So I feel like we've had a lot of balls in the air. I have 3 kids, so I have all of things around back to school. We're having this conversation in August. So the kids are right in that final stretch to school. And I just refuse to use those as excuses. They're not, but they are reality. And so keeping a lot of balls in the air and staying on track it's no joke. Like, you got to really be ready to clear some space and say, this is the number one thing. So I've, reduced my blogging frequency and done some other things in the business that are not as lucrative so that I can put emphasis on this, which is really clearly proving to be the thing that's the right path to revenue.
Where do you think you would be if you hadn't taken those steps about 8 weeks ago?
Well, it's when I said to Taylor's, when I think about all the distractions that came in, like they would have come in anyhow, right? So I probably would have not had any new clients because I wouldn't have been doing outreach. I would have said to myself, it'll be okay. I'll just pick that up again in a month. I'll keep the clients I already have, right? And so keeping my foot on the accelerator created this influx that honestly, if I do need to dial back for any week, it provides a cushion. But I have no interest in doing that because now it's like you get a taste of what's possible and I just want to keep my pedal to the metal. So when I started looking at what's possible for this month, like I only need a couple new clients to repeat what I did last month. Like it's really revenue wise, like that momentum has started and I just have no interest in slowing it down. Right. So I think I would have been worse off. I had a positive ROI inside of like, I think 10 days on the inside the program.
For people who are considering might be on the fence, they might be saying, oh, I'm not sure about the investment, or like you're saying, life is kind of crazy. I'm not sure I can do it. What kind of advice would you give to them?
I think that action begets action. So for me, when I spent so much time talking about it, I was very clear about the problem I had. I had a hunch that there were people out there with solutions that could help me move forward. And I just wasn't taking any action to find them, right? So I think when you invest in a program like this, you're betting on yourself, but you're also buying speed, right? Speed of implementation. And could I figure it all out on my own? I'm sure eventually I could have figured out a lot of this. It's not like, I don't know, some of the paid advertising is kind of rocket science, but the rest of it's not rocket science. It's just the accountability of, when you put money and time in and you're betting on yourself, then it's like there's some kind of magical thing thing that happens when all those pieces come together. And I tell my coaching clients the same thing. When you anchor into this with an investment and then you have the accountability to me as a guide, you're going to go faster and you're just much more likely to get there. So I think that's what I would tell people is you have to be clear that this is the problem you have. That you have a program or an idea for a program, how to sell, that you can help people and you can deliver because they're going to invest in you in the same way you're investing in this. But if you can clear space to really do the work, like there's a process here that definitely works.